Prison escapes have always shocked the public. Most people automatically imagine desperate men pulling off daring breakouts under cover of darkness, but that assumption is dead wrong. Over the years, several women have carried out escapes so bold, so calculated, and so unexpected that they left entire prison systems embarrassed and exposed. These stories prove that determination, planning, and nerve know no gender. In this video, we uncover the shocking true stories of women who decided their time behind bars was over and took freedom into their own hands. These are not simple walkouts. These are carefully planned breakouts filled with betrayal, secret alliances, and lives lived under constant fear of being discovered. Sarah Jo Pender's escape felt like something straight out of a crime movie. In August 2008, while incarcerated at Rockville Correctional Facility near Indianapolis, Pender pulled off an inside job that stunned corrections officials. Her escape was only possible because of help from Scott Spittler Sr., a prison guard, and Jamie Long, another inmate with whom she had formed a close and dangerous bond. Using a cell phone secretly supplied by Spittler, the plan was mapped out down to the smallest detail. Disguised in civilian clothes, Pender hid her prison uniform above ceiling tiles and calmly walked toward the facility gate. Spittler, fully aware that searches of his vehicle would be minimal, drove her straight past unsuspecting guards. On the outside, Jamie Long was waiting to get her away from the prison as fast as possible. A brief moment, Pender was free. But freedom didn't last long. Her face soon appeared on America's Most Wanted, and she became the only woman on the U.S. Marshal's top 15 most wanted list at the time. After a rerun of the show aired, a neighbor in Chicago recognized her and contacted authorities. In December 2008, Pender was arrested. She initially denied her identity, but ultimately surrendered without resistance. She was returned to prison and placed in solitary confinement at Indiana Women's Prison, a temporary measure that quietly became indefinite. Her future behind bars remains uncertain, making her story one of ambition, loyalty, and ultimate collapse. Susan Lara's path began far from prison walls. Growing up in Detroit, she lived what appeared to be a normal teenage life. But early experimentation with drugs pushed her down a dangerous road. In 1974, at just 19 years old, Susan became involved in a heroin deal influenced by an older friend. She expected leniency as a first-time offender instead. A Michigan judge sentenced her to 10 years in prison. Everything changed when her grandfather visited and subtly suggested escape. Taking his words as permission, Susan climbed a prison fence in a bold and reckless move. Even as a helicopter hovered nearby, her grandfather helped her flee. With money from her mother, Susan disappeared and took on a new identity, Marie, using her middle name. Marie eventually settled in the western United States, married finance executive Alan Walsh, and raised 3 children. For over 30 years, she lived a quiet suburban life in San Diego. No one, not her husband, not her children, knew the truth. But in 2008, her past finally caught up with her when a police officer confronted her with a photograph of her younger self. Her secret life collapsed instantly. Arrested and returned to Michigan, her family learned the truth for the first time. Although she could have faced over 15 years for escape, she was eventually released after serving time already endured. Linda Darby's story is one of suspicion, conviction, and vanishing without a trace. After her husband Charles Darby was murdered in 1970, investigators focused on Linda almost immediately. Her behavior raised red flags, evidence piled up, and testimony, including statements from her daughter, sealed her fate. Further investigation revealed Charles had been slowly poisoned with arsenic before being shot, pointing to a calculated plan. Convicted of first-degree murder, Linda was sentenced to life in prison, but in 1972, she escaped. For over 3 decades, she lived as Linda McElroy in Pulaski, Tennessee, building a family and a community life while hiding in plain sight. When authorities finally confronted her, she admitted the truth, knowing fingerprints would expose her anyway. Her story shows how completely a person can reinvent themselves until the past finally demands payment. Joanne Chesimard, later known as Assata Shaka, remains the most controversial case of all. Active in civil rights and black liberation movements during the 1970s, she became involved in violent clashes with law enforcement. In 1973, a shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike left 1 state trooper dead. Shocker was injured, arrested, and later convicted of murder and assault, receiving a life sentence. Her prison conditions were severe. Held under intense surveillance and denied proper medical care. She endured years behind bars until 1979, with help from associates disguised as visitors. Shocker executed a daring escape that shocked the nation. She became one of the most wanted fugitives in America, successfully evading capture for years before ultimately receiving political asylum in Cuba, where she remains to this day. These stories expose a side of crime history many never expect: women who calculated, planned, and executed escapes that humiliated entire justice systems. Their intelligence, courage, and nerve shattered stereotypes and proved that determination doesn't wear one face. What do you think about these women and the choices they made? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.